right, thank you for staying the State of the Nation. My guests are with me, Honorable Owen Baya, Member of Parliament for Kilifi North, Deputy Majority Leader, and Honorable Robert Mbui Kathiani, Member of Parliament and Deputy Minority Leader, Honorable Joe Nyutu, Senator Muranga, Honorable Hilary Sigei, Senator for Bomet. There's a contest about who's majority and who's minority, but that's the discussion we're having now. Honorable Mbui, let me bring you back into this conversation. Is there a plan to kick out Speaker Wetangula?
Trevor, before I answer that one, please allow me to just, my colleague here has been very unfair to your viewers, because not only have they refused to respect court orders, when court orders or court decisions are made, whether you agree with them or not, you just have to respect them, and the only thing you need to do is implement. And instead of that, he's come here and he's really lied to our viewers. And I don't know, it's a bad manners of Kenya Kwanza, all the way from the top. It's been happening since before the elections. It's continuing even now. He just said that Maendeleo Chap has only two members of parliament, both of whom come from the region that I was also elected. One is a member of parliament from Makueni, the other one is from Machakos. These two members of parliament were supported by a wider democratic movement. That is actually one of the reasons why they came into office. And when he stands here and tells us, these people were they were campaigning with us, I mean, it's a bad manners of Kenya Kwanza. These lies have to stop. The lies must reach somewhere, and then people are now getting tired. So on that particular one, I think he needs to get his facts right before he continues. I also want to inform him that, on the basis of the decision that was made, not only did we walk out of the House, we have also withdrawn our membership in the House Business Committee. That already means that we are not participating in dealing with any business of the House, any decisions to do any business of the House. And you see, the minute as Azimio la Umoja and Kenya we withdraw our members, then it basically means that the House Business Committee collapses. Now, if collapses, because it cannot be operating with only one side, the Kenya Kwanza side. If Azimio is not involved, then we cannot have a House business that is properly constituted. So that means basically, in effect, Trevor, Parliament business is now already ceased, and that means then the Speaker has no business. So even before we discuss the issue of whether we'll throw him out or not, because that's a bigger debate, and there will be other things to look at. For now, we basically have said the House should just stop cease operations. That means then the Speaker has no role to play, because there is no business of the House until further notice, until we sit down and sort out this matter. So this matter is not light. It's something that we are not taking lightly. We are taking it seriously. I think we are also asking that the Speaker learn to respect members of Parliament, because like I said earlier, the Speaker is recently have noticed, and especially I think it's because of the court ruling, and then also maybe the headline that had put his photo and had said that there's some terms about bias, and I think it offended him. So when we were having the debate on the first day, he was very, very, very harsh. He was completely, in my opinion, fairly disrespectful, because you as a Speaker, you're not supposed to interfere with members' contribution. A Speaker is supposed to be a neutral arbiter. He's supposed to sit there, listen to you, and then give opportunity if there's a vote to be taken. But he kept interrupting. I speak, he stops me, and he directs what members are saying. He advises members. He was continuously interfering. If you watch the proceedings of the day when we're discussing this court decision, you'll be shocked. I mean, that in my opinion, fell way below him, because he's been kicked out. I think I wouldn't want to go to that debate, because I personally would have my opinion. I would not even vote him out myself. So on that I have an opinion. But as a coalition, we'll still sit and discuss this matter. We will caution that he treats members differently, and he also be fair. Look at the decision that he made earlier in October 2022. He says that Jubilee Party is not in Azimio la Umoja, and decides to make them an independent party in the House, and says they are a parliamentary party, so they are not in Azimio. Then he says all these other parties are in Kenya Kwanza. Now he's again decided that, oh no, these other parties are not in Kenya Kwanza, they are now on their own. they're not parliamentary parties, but they're just not part of any of the two coalitions. Then says now Jubilee is part of Azimio. I mean, he cannot be the one making decisions on where parties fall. These are the kind of things that we are faulting him for. And I think he's probably under pressure because, I mean, he's part of Kenya Kwanza. So he's under pressure to perform for the coalition. And that's unfair. That's one of the reasons why the court ruling was, one part of the court was saying that, you know, this issue of the speaker being, you know, a member or a leader of one of the parties in that coalition, obviously makes him obviously biased. Right. And I think you've all seen the biased nature of the job. I don't know what we'll do. Maybe we need to look at a way of changing the laws in such a way that whoever is being elected as speaker should probably not have been in any party at all.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
There's a concern that Kenya Kwanza is mischievous.
Now, I'll address Joe. You know, Joe is a person, people have handled him with kid gloves before, but today I'm not going to do that.
And you can be sure I'll not be intimidated.
But I want to say this on the first instance. You see, Robert Mbui suffers from some selective amnesia. You know, he forgets, or he deliberately wants to mislead. The decision of the speaker yesterday is informed by a letter that came from the registrar of political parties. Purely, actually, the information that is relayed by the speaker that declares who is majority, who is minority in the Etadini, is from the letter that the honourable senator. It's actually dated 11th of February, yes. 2025. In fact, the speaker does not change even a sentence in that letter. If the minority party Azimio has an issue, they should have an issue with the registrar of political parties and not the speaker, because the speaker was just a mouthpiece of what was said by the registrar of political parties, full stop. So when they come and blame Speaker Wetangula on what he said, where is that information coming from? What does he rely on to make that informed decision? He relies on the letter that comes from the political parties. And that's why I said this ruling is actually not even a ruling. What the speaker did was a communication. He didn't actually make a ruling. I know Speaker Wetangula's rulings. When he makes a ruling, he makes a ruling. And that ruling, if you read it, you know this is tight ruling. But what he did yesterday, he said, actually it was read under communication from the chair. And that communication from the chair was basically from what the registrar of political parties did. And what the registrar of political parties, he said what is in the record at her office. And that is what he relayed. So when Mbui says, you know, Jubilee is here, Jubilee is there, I think if he doesn't have the letter, I'm happy to give him so that he understands where the ruling is coming from. Secondly, I'm surprised here. I don't know what latitude or leverage he wants, my friend Robert wants to get by telling us that actually Wiper supported the Mandeleo Chap candidates. How do you do that? It's mischief on their part. You have a Wiper candidate running against a Mandeleo Chap candidate, or you have a party that you want to support, and then you go and support a candidate of a rival party. Really? Is that how Wiper works? Is that the reason why they fail and never garner so many numbers? Is that their modus operandi as Wiper party? I think you need to get your why you exist as a political party, Robert, and probably that's why Wiper has never gone beyond 30 members of parliament. I also want to say this on what Joe has said. You see, Joe is telling us that UDA Kenya Kwanza has some mischief. I was waiting for him to disown the party, which he was elected on UDA and Kenya Kwanza Alliance, for which he was elected into that position that he proudly sits today in Senate. Without that party, this John Yot, we will not even have known his name in this country without that party. And that's why he needs to honor the party that brought him to Senate and speak about the party in colors that really, but you know, unfortunately, if you've been baptized the Munyoro way, you speak the way Joe speaks. But I want to say this, Joe. Kenya Kwanza is not mischievous in any way. And the rulings of the speaker are rulings of the speaker, not the rulings of Kenya Kwanza. When the speaker sits there to make a ruling, he does not make the ruling because he belongs to Kenya. He's the speaker of the National Assembly. And therefore, he makes a ruling. Yeah. And that ruling has not been in any way been directed by Kenya Kwanza because we don't have the power to do that. Actually, the people who should be fighting what the registrar said is Kenya Kwanza. Because PA, UDA, and Maendeleo Chapchap campaigned as part of the Kenya Kwanza. Today, the letter that has come from the Registrar of Political Parties has removed 14 members from the Kenya Kwanza coalition, and yet Kenya Kwanza still remains majority after the 14 members have been removed. So I don't know what he means by mischief, and probably the word mischief means something else according to him, but the dictionary meaning of mischief does not qualify. Kenya Kwanza does not qualify to be a mischievous party. Actually, I was telling the leader of majority yesterday, I do not agree with the letter from the registrar, because we know Speaker Kingi sits in Senate as part, he was sponsored as a candidate because he belonged to Kenya Kwanza. Okay. Maendeleo Chapchap, Dr. Mutua is a cabinet secretary because he campaigned with Kenya Kwanza. Senator Roba has a position in Senate because of that. These are people we campaigned together with. But today the Registrar of Political Parties has written to say, actually, these 14 members are not. Even when they remove the 14, the 14 members. And that is why sometimes I ask, why is ODM and Azimio complaining? Because even after removing 14 members, Kenya Kwanza still has majority. Okay. Even adding Jubilee, which had initially removed itself from Azimio, even when the numbers for Jubilee are added, Kenya Kwanza still has majority. Where is this? Where are their numbers that give them the temerity to actually say we are majority? You know, he needs to show me the facts.
Where are the numbers?
Right. Where are the numbers?
Right.
Trevor. Yeah. You know, facts are very stubborn. I've listened to the Honorable Mbui struggling to make sense out of a decision, not a decision, as a communication yesterday in terms of numbers. I want us to go back because Kenyans out there are listening. And they are listening and they are reading sometimes the headlines that, by the way, are also misleading, because what Honorable Mbui is trying to do is to create a conversation around an impartial speaker, a decision of the courts, and a parliament that is not united. We need to demystify that. This particular letter which I read to you is the communication that came from the Registrar of Political Parties. And the latest, which is very critical, from this letter, as of 6th of December 2024, this is the effective date of NAPEU exiting Azimio by depositing their post-election coalition agreement with Kenya Kwanza. As of 25th of January 2024, that was the effective date of Maendeleo Chapchap exiting Azimio coalition, and of course, by doing that, they are joining Kenya Kwanza. Similarly, 22nd of November 2023, that is UDM, Honorable Ali Roba. And finally, Pamoja Africa Alliance exited Azimio as of 27th of February 2023. If I had someone from ODM, because, you know, Honorable Mbui is not the best fit to have this conversation, especially coming from Wiper. We all know what Wiper is all about.
What maybe you should clarify what it is.
The leader of Wiper still holds on to the position that he is now the actual opposition leader. He doesn't have numbers. He still holds that Azimio exists. Azimio, or rather ODM, moved on and worked with government. That is exactly what he's acknowledged. But at the same time saying, look, we are the majority when such communication are there. So when I say facts are stubborn, they are stubborn and we can't change them.
I don't know whether anyone has understood what he has said.
Maendeleo
you need to clarify something about Wiper.
And 3 other political parties joined Kenya Kwanza. Honorable Mbai is saying that, not Mbai, Owen Baya, he's complaining. He is one of the members who are leading the Kenya Kwanza coalition in the National Assembly. He knows these members. That one aside. Now, this is a political space, and we have said it. I might be a first-timer in Parliament. My senior colleague has been there. He's practiced. He's been there before. He knows the standing orders. I am aware that if, for example, you want to exit, the way he's saying we've withdrawn all our members from the House Business Committee, there is a procedure that you do it. And that procedure was communicated yesterday by the Speaker of the National Assembly, that as at the time I am making this pronouncement to declare the number of the membership to the House Business Committee, this is the communication that has come from the Kenya Kwanza coalition and from the Azimio coalition. If there was a change of heart after the media brief, it has not affected the status that was communicated by the Speaker. And that is the law. They are on the one hand saying, we want to comply with the law. On the other hand, they are saying, you know, even these standing orders are also, you know, documents which are supposed to be complied with because they guide on the operations of Parliament. Okay. So it's not the best thing to be saying something that you would think will be popular for the Kenyans when you are supposed to make reference to facts and what exactly is going on in Parliament. All right. Lastly, because I need to say something from the comments that was made by my colleague, Senator Nyutu, about the fact that Kenya Kwanza is mischievous. I'm happy he's acknowledged the fact that he's in Kenya Kwanza in paper. In practice, his soul and heart is elsewhere. And the justification for that comment is because of what he said, members have been removed who are not supportive of Kenya Kwanza in their committees in Senate, which is equally not true.
Have they not been de-whipped?
We are yet to go for elections to determine who chairs which committee. My colleague here is a member of Privileges Rules Committee and also a member of Lands Committee. Elections are supposed to be conducted on Monday. We are yet to. So nobody has been removed. I was a chairperson of Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights Committee until yesterday. I have been put in JLAC. Notice has come from the clerk. We're going for elections on Monday. So all of us are members of the respective committees.
So nobody has been de-whipped?
Nobody has been de-whipped. On Monday, members will sit down and elect their leaders of their various committees. Okay. And so we should also, we should tell Kenyans facts.
Joe,
and he's aware, I'm in the same WhatsApp group with him. The communication we got yesterday from the clerk is saying, honorable members, having now dissolved the committees and a motion placed before the House voted to approve the list of the various members, the respective committees will conduct elections of their chairpersons and vice chairpersons next week on Monday. Is in their schedule? There is, and he's aware about it. So let's not say what would be popular to the Kenyans by misleading them. Okay. Thank you.
So, Nyutu, have you been de-whipped?
It's just being mischievous.
Thank you very much. In fact, I've listened to... allow me to comment about what the Deputy Majority Leader has said, that he has really tried to explain why that Kenya Kwanza is not mischievous. But I don't know whether you noted that he accused Wiper of being mischievous. So it's a very funny situation that, you know, you want to call Wiper mischievous, but you become very defensive when your coalition is called mischievous. The issue of the Speaker, and I think this also touches on the Speaker of the Senate, whom I may not want to discuss now because we all know and we pass our condolences to him. He lost his dear father. But he listening to them when in presidential functions, both of them, of course, they support government. I mean, and they pronounce their support for government. And that is why these speakers cannot be independent. And there are many instances. In fact, the other day, the senator for Nairobi begged our speaker, the Speaker of the Senate, not to be, you know, commenting on this matter, supporting government openly, because sometimes you do not want to go against your speaker. And when he makes political pronouncements, then he, of course, exposes himself to the same fire being taken back to him. And so, I mean, we need to talk about and discuss about the independence of the speakers of both the houses. But coming to my colleague, Senator Sigei, who is my very good friend, by the way, you know, the argument he has brought about that, no, you know, chairs will be elected on Monday, they have not been elected, is exactly the mischief now that I'm telling you about. Let me tell you, I was chair for education. I'm now not a member of the Education Committee. Senator Karongo Dhangwa was the chair, Roads and Transport. He is not in that committee. Senator Medhu was the chair, Lands and Natural Resources. He is not in that committee. He is not a member in that committee. Senator Murango was the chair of Agriculture Committee. He is not a member of the Agriculture Committee. Senator Lenku Seki of Kajiado was the chair, trade. He is not a member of that committee. And Senator Sigei now here wants to tell you and to tell Kenyans that there is no mischief. Look, nobody has been whipped. How do I become education chair on Monday, for example, if I'm not a member of that committee? And I can tell you, Trevor, and I want to expose now the mischief of Kenya Kwanza, especially related to this committee thing, that in the committee that I used to chair, everybody else, apart from maybe me and one or two senators, every other member remains in that committee.
That's not true.
You see,
no. Let me explain. Let me explain. Let me explain.
You know,
I've just made.
that's a misrepresentation.
Yes.
Let's
I can tell. I know my members. I know my members, Senator Sigei.
No. But
I don't want to mention names,
Yeah.
but only 3 members. Talking about the Education Committee, only 3 members have been removed from that committee. No, I've said in every other committee, this is something recorded. I've said it's only maybe the chair, 1 or 2 members. That's what I said. I've just said that. Unless Senator Sigei has a problem with his ears. I've just said, and I mean it's there, it's recorded, that you will find that in every committee, and I said in the committee that I used to chair, only me, some 1 or 2 senators. That's what I said. I've not said everybody. And I can give you the names. You have the list there. And you know, every committee of the Senate, Senator Sigei is a very mature senator. And I don't know what is becoming of him.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just allow me, Secretary Sigei, to finish my submission, and then you have an issue with it, you raise it when you get your time.
Why do you think you're kicked out?
Of course, because of the side that I support.
Which side? Which side?
I mean, of course.
Which side is
the side that does not, does not support the mischief of government.
Which side?
That is the side that I belong to. I've described it.
Which side?
The side that does not. The side. Of course,
Which side?
I don't have to call it the name you may want to call it. I'm describing the side that I'm in. The side that is ready.
Courage to say who you
the
are.
side that is ready to point out at the evils that the government commits. The side that is ready to say things are wrong when they go wrong. The side that does not have the mischief that Kenya Kwanza has. The side that stands with Kenyans. The side that insists that the manifesto that Kenya Kwanza gave must be adhered to. The promises that were made should be delivered to Kenyans. That is the side that I belong to, and that is the side that Kenya Kwanza government loads.
Are you worried by
Senator Nyutu has forgotten to say that.
No. Why don't they become patient? Did you hear me interject anybody?
No,
In fact, you are not displaying leadership.
becoming hilarious.
Did I? Even when Owen Baya said that he had been treated with the kids' gloves, I waited to see his bare hands without gloves. I mean, why don't you just wait? You're asking a question whether...
Are you concerned or worried by losing that position?
No, not at all, Trevor. I campaigned to be elected the senator for Murang'a County. And I thank God and the people of Murang'a that I was so elected. I did not campaign anywhere to be chair of any committee. In fact, I never campaigned to be a member of any committee. So I'm very comfortable. I'm not worried about it. And you know what, Trevor? I'm now very free. I have no shackles in my hands. I can speak my mind. The majority leader will not come talking to me like a kid, the way he does. We are voting yes, we are voting yes. Unasikia, we are voting yes. I'm free. If he tells me we are voting yes for something
Trevor,
that I do not believe in, I will tell him no.
Trevor, no?
Yes, I'm free.
Remember,
I'm free. I'll tell him no. I'm free.
I must protect. No.
Yes, let me finish.
I must protect.
Yes. Yes.
Hold on.
Yes.
Trevor,
Allow you to
because
yes, you will get your time, Senator Sigei. You will get your time.
I will not allow that.
You will get your time.
That is not how.
But you are not the host of this. You cannot say you are not going to allow this. You are not the host. Trevor is. So, Senator Sigei, you cannot say you are not going to allow this. You are not the host.
Hold on,
Yes.
You need to let Nyutu.
No, let him speak. Have you been instructed on how to vote before?
Yes. In a very bad way.
That's
It doesn't mean it happens it has been happening, Trevor. I have not been. Why are they not? You know.
I don't know why.
You know where I come from.
Yes.
If I directly translate where I come from, they say that where a thief is, that's what our people say. Where there is a thief, if you mention a thief, they jump and say, why are you calling me a thief?
Okay.
I mean, what I'm saying is, and this has been happening, and I think, Trevor, the only thing that will deliver Kenya, because I think it happens also on the other side of the divide, is I don't know whether we can have a partyless state, because somebody will tell you, this is a party position, this is a party position. We have, yes, this is a party position, and that is true.
Trevor.
So I'm very free now.
Trevor.
I will vote without anybody telling me about a party position. I will vote as per the wish and the will of the people of Murang'a that elected
That's
me.
the most unfortunate
And that
coming
is
from a politician.
Before we do that, we have to do this.
We must follow the order.
You just write it down.
We need to rebut this.
But you know,
at your own time.
you know,
Both
Trevor,
of you will, yes.
Trevor, you can see even the kind of behavior from the members of Kenya Kwanza. I mean, it's an embarrassment in the show that they're all shouting, they can't listen to each other. They continue also to perpetuate lies. Honorable Senator Sige here has just implied slyly that there was no de-whipping in the Senate. And the former chair of education has explained exactly the fact that he's not even in that committee. And yet he had implied the other.
And the others, not just
and
me.
the other committees where that happened. He's now, the two of them are up in arms when the senator has indicated here that
He's normally directed
there's an
forward.
issue of direction when there is voting that is being done on the floor. I mean, every single Kenyan, even nursery school children know that there is direction given on the floor. Look at even when we are voting for the finance bill. Yes. I mean, it was so obvious. Even the president was talking about even in functions out there. So you can't pretend that, you know, there's no direction given. So those lies must end today because Kenyans are getting to know this. You know, I had members here try to imply something negative about my party, Wiper. Maybe I want to inform them, and it's the best time to tell you that in the recent polls that have been done by Infotrak, one of the most respected polls bodies in the country, out of the top 13 members of National Assembly, 7 are from Wiper Democratic Movement. More than half of the top 13 in the country. And that's a party you want to talk about. Owen Baya, you are at the back there looking at us from the back. You cannot speak about this party. This is not a party. It's not a party of jokers. But then Honorable Senator Sige had also talked about that there is a procedure. I don't know, there are standing orders on removing members from committees.
Yeah.
Let me just explain to you that all you need to do to remove members from any committee is a communication in writing by the whip of that party. And the whip has already written to the Speaker of the National Assembly and told him that our members have been withdrawn from this committee. And the whip and the leader of majority, the Honorable Junet, in case somebody wants to confuse, has also written a letter withdrawing themselves from that committee. So those are facts. So when you say that there are procedures, I don't know, the procedures are known to us. So there is nothing that we do not understand about the ropes to pull and the strings to pull in the House. So basically, the House Business Committee that is continuing to carry out business for the House is now illegally constituted. And until further notice, when we sit and agree on the way forward, there cannot be any business of the National Assembly of the Republic of Kenya. And we want that stalemate to be sorted out. So we want the Speaker to come back to us so that we can discuss this matter and agree on our way forward.
Okay.
I want to say this about Joe. You know, Joe, it's very unfortunate that the members of the people of Murang'a elected a member to come to the Senate who has never represented them but has always been told what to do, and he actually goes to Parliament and does what he has been told to do. You know, when I came to Parliament in 2017, unfortunately Joe came to the other day, I came to Parliament in 2017, the then leader of majority, Honorable Duale, called me. He was not even a member of my party, but he called me, said, you see, in this Parliament, there's something called conscience. Even if I come and tell you, oh, and vote this way and this way and this way, at the end of the day, I've given you information on why you should vote this way and that way, but you have your own mind to actually sit down, interpret, and believe in what you are going to do and vote based on your conscience and your belief, whether your leader has told you, do this or do that. And that is what a member of parliament should be. But for Joe to come to this show and confess that he has not been actually exercising his mind and his conscience and exercising his authority as a member of parliament to oversight, to make legislation, and to do representation, to just come and say, because I've been told by the leader of majority to vote this way, I go out there and actually vote that way. And now he says he's free. Now, what have you been doing to the people of Murang'a for the last 2 years? You know, that's the most unfortunate thing. Robert Mbuye and I have been in that parliament, and Robert is a very independent-minded legislator. He makes his position, he chooses his words, and he votes based on his conscience. If you ask him why he votes the way he does, he says, I don't vote because Wiper has told me to vote. I vote my conscience. But Joe, for him to come here and confess the way he has, I find it the most unfortunate thing for a member of the Senate. I find it as a degradation of a senator, and actually, you know, bringing himself very... I think the member of Murang'a today will understand why they made a terrible mistake in electing Joe. But I also want to talk about the issue of the whipping. Even the National Assembly today, there are certain committees that have lapsed that we need to do to go back and pick new members and redistribute the committees. It is the law. It is the standing order. And it is also within the hands and the powers of the whip and the leadership of the majority of the minority to rearrange their members. They have that power. It is not for you as a member to decide which committee you need to belong. Senator Sigei has told us he used to be in JLAC. Today he's not in JLAC, he's in another.
I'm in JLAC now, but I'm not the chair.
But he's not the chair.
Yes.
And the majority leader at the Senate will say, we are proposing this as our leader, as our chair, and therefore the committee go sit down and elect a chair. That's what happened. Even Joe, the seat that he used to have as chair of education was based on an election after a proposal that was made by the leader of majority. And he went and presented himself, please elect me, and he was elected. So he does not hold that is his chair. It is the members who elect him and not himself. And that is the standing order. So for him to come here and make noise for political mileage to say, you know, I've been removed so that Munyoro people look like they are, they are being persecuted in parliament, that is not the correct position. The correct position is committees lapse, and new elections must be held, and members can be rearranged. Even I'm sure Azimio will rearrange their members in the National Assembly. Even us in Kenya Kwanza will rearrange our members. And that is the prerogative of the leadership of the House. And therefore, I do not think Kenya Kwanza in any way will want to victimize any member, unless a member like Joe, who has said he is just on paper. And you see, this is the beauty of our democracy. He has declared on this show that he is just a member of Kenya Kwanza on paper. We give him chairmanship to go there and defend policies and propel policies of Kenya Kwanza. How will he do it if he has himself stated that he's just there on paper? As a leader of majority, I'll say, we doubt his allegiance to the party. And yet he swore during the swearing-in ceremony, in the Senate, and took an oath of office to do certain things. Consciously, there's a word that nobody really pronounces correctly in Parliament. Consciously. Probably he needs to go sit down and read and understand what that word is. So that, because the business of Parliament, and that word was put there deliberately, it was not by deliberately. Why that word is there? So that when you go there as a member of Parliament exercising the authority that has been given to you by the people, you go there to do it consciously, because that is what you should do. Okay. But I am surprised at. But I want to finish one thing.
Yes.
On the HBC, which Robert Mbuye here is. When HBC is constituted, the leader of majority and leader of minority writes to the speaker and tell him these are our members. But the speaker does not say, the leader has written and this has written, and therefore we have constituted. A motion is brought to Parliament. The names are compiled and a motion is brought to the House. one, there are two sections to it. There are certain members who sit by virtue of their positions, including the leader of majority, the leader of minority, and the whip of the minority, and the two whips. They sit there by virtue of being minority and majority and whips. So they sit there. These are names that you cannot sit down and withdraw unless you withdraw the leadership of the House. You cannot withdraw. Okay. Okay. Two, the other members, which now includes, for example, Mbui in Azimio and other members that are there, are brought the second part of the ascending, are brought to the floor of the House to be voted for by the members. Okay. And therefore, the HBC is constituted through a vote of the National Assembly. Now, if a coalition or a party now decides they do not want to have those members, the part two which we vote for, if they do not want to have those members, they need to write to the Speaker to withdraw those members, because it has already been owned by Parliament. It needs to come to Parliament for it to be undone. Okay. Okay. So there's through a process. A motion, through a process. Okay. That is what we are waiting for. So
that process has not been done.
That process has not been done. A motion has not been brought to the House for us to discuss the removal of the House Business Committee.
Brilliant. So, why would you say that Joe has not been de-whipped, yet he's no longer even a member of the Education Committee, which he once chaired?
Thank you, Trevor. I'm a very sad senator at the moment, for now, with the statement that came from my colleague, Senator Joe. You know, I'm normally contained. I normally debate with decorum. He forced me today to become, to interject, which is not the norm I do. Because when he insinuates that I don't vote with my conscience and that the majority leader works around the Senate to tell senators, tunapiga yes, it's an insult to my intelligence and to the intelligence of 67 other senators who vote.
Doesn't it happen?
Of course, it does not. You see, there is what we call lobbying.
Which is allowed.
Which is allowed in law and in a political environment. Yes. What normally happens is that if there is a party position, what the leadership and those who support that position of the party do is to lobby members and say, guys, we would like to go this direction, and this is the justification why we want to lobby you to go this particular direction. That is allowed, that is lawful. That is not to say you throw away your conscience and say, I'm voting because the majority leader has said so. It's so sad for Senator Nyutu to say that. It's an insult to the leadership of the Senate, to the senators, to himself as an elected senator, and the people who are in his county who elected him, I'm sure are also equally sad. Because Senator, my colleague, my friend, I think he's been radicalized by this Wamunyoro conversation of kusema ukweli, which is actually not what leadership is all about. That is why I'm sad, Trevor. In the Senate, people normally lobby. I am a member of Kenya Kwanza. If there is a position that we would want to push a certain agenda for the government, we lobby across the alley, both those who are supporting and those whom we can convince by explaining why and asking them to vote with their conscience, but for the position that we are lobbying to do. We don't tell people, vote this way. And if there are those who normally vote that way, they are misrepresenting their people, they are failed in their leadership position. We don't do that. That is why I really had to intervene and say, let us not mislead Kenyans. It is not the job of a majority leader, the Honorable Aaron Cheruiyot, to go and tell people where to vote. We are all equal because we are all elected leaders from our respective counties as senators. Number two, when he says that he's given us the example of Senator Joe Nyutu himself, my good friend Senator Karungu Dhangwa, former chair Rhodes, my good friend Senator Medhu of Nyandarua, former chair Lands, my good friend Senator Murango of Muranga, of Kirinyaga, sorry, former chairman of agriculture. He has, just the way Wamunyoro has forgotten that he was defending his government until the other day when he was impeached. He's forgotten that Senator Mandago from Uasin Gishu was the chairperson of health. He's not in health as we speak now. He's not the chairperson of health. He's refused to tell you that Senator Cheptumo, who was the chairperson of National Security and Defense Foreign Relations, is not in that committee now. He's equally, intentionally forgotten to tell us that Senator Wamatinga from Nyeri, who was the chairman of Energy, is not there. And he's saying they've been whipped. What do we say about these others? The elections, as I told you earlier on, because I've got the schedule. Today, CPAC and CPIC are conducting their elections for the chairperson and vice chairperson at 11 a.m. and 11:30 and 11:30 and 12 p.m. On Monday, there are 11 committees that will be, not 11, 7. Yes, I think 11. Agriculture, devolution, education, energy, finance, health, information, JLAC, labor, land, national cohesion are doing their elections respectively on Monday 17th to elect the chairperson and vice chairperson. And lastly, on Tuesday 18th, National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations, Roads, Transport and Housing, Trade, Industrialization and Tourism, Delegated Legislation will be electing their chairperson. So I'm wondering, what is it that is so special about Senator Nyutu and 3 of his team members who, according to him, they are coalesced around the former deputy president, and that they've been whipped, yet the rest of us have also equally been reconstituted. Actually, it is a practice in law. We are getting into the 4th session of the Senate, where by the standing orders, committees are to be reconstituted. Okay. He is free and ready to offer himself to become the chairperson of the 2 committees that he's been put in, that is the Privileges, Rules and Committee, where I sit with him because I've also been nominated to that committee, and secondly, Lands Committee. He can offer himself to be elected as a chair. Okay. Yes. And it's about the members. We have got 9 members in our committees. I will offer my candidature for the position of chairperson of JLAC. I will have to lobby. I will not direct members where to vote. Yeah. I will lobby and ask for their vote because I want them to vote me as the chairperson of JLAC. Okay. He is free to do the same thing. All right. So let us tell people of Kenya facts and the truth. Okay. And that truth will set us free. Okay. Why are you reading mischief into?
Thank you very much, Trevor. Yeah. And I hope Honorable Baya and Senator Sigei have learned the decorum that is supposed to be there in a debate like this. I kept quiet when they were tearing into my personality and my relationship with the people of Murang'a. I hope they have just learned. That's a free lesson to you, that you can be able to wait even when somebody is tearing your personality until you get your time. Very good. And I hope next time they come here, they'll exhibit that maturity. I wanted them to learn from me. But you know, so now, see, let me now then address the issues that they have raised. It is very, very sad, Trevor, that we can have, people of the standing of the deputy majority leader of the National Assembly, elected for the 2nd time, Owen Baya, Senator Hilary Sigei, a lawyer of great repute, and hitherto, a very sober person, tell lies to Kenyans that, I did not say that I have been voting the way that I've been directed by the majority leader. What I said is the majority, look at them, slow learners. They have not learned. They will never learn. The mannerisms, the insults that they are doing in public galleries. You can see what they're doing here. Very embarrassing.
We are calm.
So, and Robert Mbui will tell you that this canvassing, of course I agree when they say that there is that lobbying, but how is it lobbied, especially in the Senate, the majority side? It is something that I've been very uncomfortable with, Senator Sigei will tell you, they're talking about lobbying. Which lobbying happens in the House when a vote is called, somebody moves around telling you, This is a party position.
Even in the
This is can I be heard in silence? Protect me, Trevor. This is the party position. We are voting yes. Unasikia? We are voting yes. I'm not saying that every time he told me to vote yes, I voted yes. Of course, I have never ever allowed Senator Aaron Cheruiyot to think for me. Nobody thinks for me. I was only pointing out at the mischief and the mannerisms, bad mannerisms of Kenya Kwanza. And they can tell you that that is what happens. You know, there is that lobbying, but the way it has been done, especially on our side in the Senate, has not been that kind of lobbying. I have not been called to any Kamukonji to be told, guys, we want to vote this way because of A, B, C, D. It is just in the House when the vote is called, not even before the vote is called. And so I'm not saying they wanted really to paint my image in a bad, in negative light in the eyes of the people of Murang'a. The people of Murang'a know me. They know I'm a Christian. They know I cannot lie for political expediency. They know that. And I can assure you, Owen Baya is saying that I'm making noise. That's not a language to use to a fellow member of parliament. But of course, you know, I know where he has picked the mannerisms. You know? Of course, you have had people being called stupid. You know, you have no clue. You are... Look at the slow learners. Look at the slow learners. Look at the slow learners. You know, so we know where they are picking the mannerisms from, and we do excuse them. Of course, they are members of a particular choir, and they must... That's why they are singing here. They are doing the choir for the master, because the master is watching how well they will sing in this choir. That's why you can hear Owen Baya, a respectable person, using, you know, that kind of language that Senator John Nyutu is making noise. And I want to tell you, Owen Baya, that power is transient. So just be kind. Just be kind to people, and they will be kind to you. I have not, Trevor, mentioned anything to do with the second deputy president. They are the ones who keep talking about Monyoro. It tells you what scares them. you know, if a child is scared of thieves, they will dream in the night, and you know, they would say, thief, thief, thief. Who has mentioned the Rigathi Gachagua here? It is them doing it. They cannot, even the top of their leadership, cannot spend a day. Go even to Western. They will not do a rally without mentioning Rigathi Gachagua. It tells you what their nightmare is. So, Trevor, I want to expose Senator Sigei.
Your ideology.
Because Senator Sigei is lying. He has told you that I conveniently avoided mentioning Senator Mandago, who comes from Uasin Gishu. In his words, Senator Mandago, if you still have that list, is still in the Committee on Health.
Just checking. I have the list.
Yes. He is still a member of the Committee of Health. Senator Wamatinga, he may not be in energy because he was made, he is now a commissioner. Commissioners do not chair committees. And that is a fact. Let me not talk about Senator Cheptumo, because I think he's indisposed and it would not be good to discuss about him. But allow me to quickly expose the lies of Sigei. I mean, agriculture, livestock, previously chaired by Senator Morango. He's not a member of that committee. Devolution and intergovernmental relations, previously chaired by Senator Abbas. He's still a member of that committee. I want Senator Sigei to take notes. Then we go to education. Of course, I'm not a member. Then you go to energy. Of course, Senator Wamatinga is not there because now he has been made commissioner.
Yeah.
Finance and budget was chaired by Ali Roba, Senator Ali Roba. He's still in that committee. Health, where I was a member, is still and was chaired by Jackson Mandago. He's still a member of that committee at number 1, slow learner. You go to Justice, Legal Affairs, and Human Rights, where Senator Sigei was the chair. He's still a member of that committee. You go to Labor and Social Welfare, where Senator Julius Mugo was the chair. He's still in that committee. You go to Lands, Environment and Natural Resources, where Senator Medhu was the chair. He is not a member of that committee. You go to National Cohesion, Equal Opportunities and regional integration. Mohammed Chute, Senator, was the chair. He's still in that committee. You go to National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations, which now was chaired by Senator Cheptumo. Let me not discuss about Senator Cheptumo. You go to Roads, Transportation and Housing, previously chaired by Senator Karungo Dhangwa. He is not a member of that committee. You go to Trade, Industrialization and Tourism, previously chaired by Senator Seki of Kajiado. He is not in that committee. He's not a member of that committee.
I think he has made his point.
Okay. Yeah.
No, let me, please. No, let me finish. You go to Public Accounts Committee. No, we have to expose the lies by Senator Sigei. Public Accounts Committee was chaired by Senator Kajwang. He's still in that committee.
Okay.
You go to Public Investments and Special Funds, was chaired by Senator Osotsi. He's still in that committee. Delegated legislation was chaired by Mwenda Gataya from Tharaka Nithi. You underline that. He's still a member of that committee. So when Senator Sigei comes here to say that, look, there is no mischief in this, I mean, the chairs will be elected next week. I mean, no chair will be elected if they do not belong to that committee. So that is where the mischief is. Okay. And so Senator Sigei just accepts that the reconstitution of this, actually, it was aimed at only one thing, removing 5 chairs from their committees, because of course they are not members of the choir. And so, Senator Sigei, please stop lying to Kenyans. Kenyans are intelligent, and you can continue being told how to vote and to be instructed like people that were not elected. I am not in that particular group now. I am happy. I thank my God.
Okay. We will need to just tell you.
You've tried to help them even to understand the order. It's becoming difficult. Maybe we put numbers 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
They wait for that.
And you control the mics from there.
But you know, Senator Sigei, I listened to him very keenly, and he has called a few senators my good friends. And every one of the ones he has said is my good friend are on the chopping board. So I'm wondering, isn't this confirming what we have always wondered about, that issue of being very economical with the truth by leaders from, from the minority parties. But again, Senator Sigei said here that, he confirmed that Ukweli is not a policy of governance. He actually said...
I didn't say it.
You did say it, and if it is around, you'll be surprised. You actually said it. You said that these people are the ones that follow that slogan of Ukweli.
Yes.
And he said that is not a good policy.
What I said.
So it's unfortunate, because then that probably confirms to me my worst fears. But now the two of them have implied that there is independence when they are voting. And I want to give you one case scenario, just one case scenario, not take long. We had this finance bill issue. Yeah. And the public said, no, we do not want this excessive taxation. This burden is too much. Everywhere we went, Kenyans said no. Now, I want them to tell Kenyans that I want especially Owen Baya to say he independently decided to vote in support of the burden that was being put on his constituents in Kilifi North. And then when the president, later on after the Gen Z revolution, withdrew the same bill, he stood up and cheered the president. Now, how independent is that? Unless there's something really wrong with their sanity. Because on one hand, you're voting in support of something the people do not want, and when the president withdraws it after you have voted for it, then you start cheering and clapping for him. Maybe if that's not the choir, maybe he can explain, because I've been at a loss. Actually, I've been talking to my people and I've been saying, one of these days we'll get an answer. Maybe today Owen Baya can explain that to Kenyans.
Okay.
He has even seeded ground for you.
Thank you very much, Trevor. Trevor, I want to... I'll come to Robert Mbui, because Robert Mbui displays some resemblance of good manners here, but when it comes to Parliament, he is one of those people that can never be associated with good manners in Parliament. But
he was voted among the top performing.
We will come to that. We'll come to that. Top performing and popularity, they're two different things, you know. But I want to tell Joe, you know, you're a pale shadow of the past. When I went to Muranga during the elections, you know, in 2022, I was there campaigning for him. I saw Joe, that was a passionate person, a person who believed in certain things, and he stood out. And that's why the people of Muranga and UDA actually propelled him to the position that he is today. Today, he's just a poor, pale shadow of himself. And when you hear him speak, Joe, he comes out as a person who's been properly brainwashed to believe in the ideology of one person, not the broad ideology of, you know, social democracy and, you know, constitutionalism and how things should operate within a state and within government and within parliament. But that pale shadow view, Joe knew to believing that when you believe in one man, in a person, one person, not an political ideology is that of only one person, will not help you, Joe. It can help you to get re-elected, and that's what he is banking on. Just only one thing, re-election, not serving the people and not delivering on his mandate as a member of the Senate. I also want to tell Joe that in 2017 or 2018, in the 12th Parliament, there are people who offered himself as alternative and fought for chairmanship of agriculture. I think there were 3 people in Parliament, and they defied the lobbying by the majority leader, and they were elected as chairs. You remember the 3 MPs? I think it was Keter. This other guy from Wasingishu, Tarus, not Tarus. I can't remember the other 2. But you remember the Committee on Agriculture, the Committee on Trade, and another committee. And they went and presented themselves as candidates for chairmanship, and they were elected. And people were actually surprised. So, Joe, I want to tell you, if you think you want to become chair of the committee, go and pick the paper, the nomination paper, fill the form, take it there, and say, I want to be elected. And because you see now you have defected from UDA, you can be elected as a chair of the committee without necessarily having the backing of the other of the party. Okay. And that is democracy, that's parliamentary democracy. And it has happened in the 12th Parliament. And those people came out, they offered themselves, and they were elected. Okay. And nobody de-whips a chair. Chairs are elected. Yeah. Yes. And de-whipping, by the way, de-whipping is more significant. When you're de-whipped, you actually removed from all committees. You cannot say, I've been de-whipped and still become a member of a committee. It doesn't happen. That it's not parliamentary. There was a question from Robert Mbui. Where was your conscience when? No, I'll come to going around in circles. I'll come to Robert Mbui. I'll come to Robert Mbui. You know, Robert Mbui thrives on cheap popularity, and I will come to him because I think I've been handling him very well because he's my friend. You know, he's my counterpart on the other side. Sometimes, you know, I go to him. You see the lies. He called me a friend. He just called me a friend. I go to him and say, I try to lobby him to support our opposition, and he tells me, oh, this one I will not. Yeah. You know, I have lobbied him before. I told him, Robert, why don't you vote with us on this one? And he said, oh, and on this one, respectfully, please allow me to vote the way I want. My conscience. Yeah. I vote his conscience, and I allow him to do that. And Parliament, by the way, is usually a place, even in the Westminster and even in the United States Capitol, you know. There is always lobbying, and there are always party positions. Yeah. And party positions, even when I push a party position, I do push a party position. I lobby members to take a party position. They may disagree with me. They may vote with me. Yeah. Okay? Because that is how Parliament works. When you say, I belong to the majority party, as a member, when you say, I belong to the majority party, you are subscribing to a certain ideology, and you are subscribing to a certain way of thinking. Okay. When you say, I belong to a minority party, you're already belonging to a certain position. You take a certain position. Right. And when government or even minority, I don't want to call them opposition, minority, brings something to Parliament, the people who believe within that thinking of being minority definitely will be thinking about the ideology that propels them to be in that Parliament and take that party position and look at it and argue about it and say, this is the position that we will take. Okay, and that is parliamentary. And therefore, and when you believe in it and when you agree with it, it becomes your conscience, and therefore you go out there and vote that way.
So if that changes, you also change.
So if the position changes and you are convinced and it looks like, okay, I think here there's a mistake we made here, or I think we should have done it this way.
Yeah.
That is how Parliament works.
Okay.
And that is why sometimes bills are brought to Parliament. And when they're brought to Parliament and they're discussed and people do not agree, sometimes people change positions.
All right.
You know, I want to bring you to one aspect, Robert, or Trevor. In the 12th Parliament, and you know Robert and I were in 12th Parliament, there was this controversial political parties bill. The controversial political parties bill. Yeah. Very controversial bill. You remember, we stayed in Parliament up to 1 a.m. Trying to take our positions and all that. And the members today who voted for that bill are regretting why they voted for that bill. Okay. You remember the one that was trying to cobble coalitions, that you cannot leave your coalition after this and that and that. They are really trying to get out of those coalitions, which they tied themselves. At that time, we told them, this is a bad law. You cannot continue to support this law.
Now they regret.
Now they regret.
All right, gentlemen, hold on one thoughts. I know there's still Sige and Jutu to speak, but let's cross over to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, where our team is standing by. Seth Olale is there, Olive Barrows is there, and Stephen Leto as well. Let's cross over to them directly. In fact, Olive, good morning. It's good to see you there. What's the latest from where you are? What do we expect today?
Good morning, Kenya. Good morning, Africa. From Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The sun is out. It's hot fairly. 23 degrees centigrade from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Right at the lawns of the African Union Commission, opposite the main AUC tower. The sky is blue, an indication of siku njema huonekana asubuhi. With my colleagues, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Seth and Olive. By the way, it's been a busy day yesterday, but today looks even busier, Olive.
Well, it's the second day of the 46th ordinary session of the Executive Council, which is made up of the Foreign Affairs ministers. So they have an agenda, and so they have just today to complete that agenda. So I imagine there'll be a lot happening within the plenary, although yesterday they had an open session at the very start, then it was closed for the rest of the day. And so it fell upon you and Seth Olale to get insider information.
And so Seth, is the closure or is the Ministerial Executive Council meetings today again going to happen in closed doors? Because we saw a late evening, a late evening end of the poll of electing the new commissioners, where we saw the DRC's insecurity in the DRC has costed Rwanda a seat in the African Union Security Council.
Exactly, and you also saw Nigeria sweeping the political, administrative, executive seat. And this one just tells you, what to expect in the Heads of Summit meeting that is going to come up tomorrow. But also activity today, Leto and Olive, because we expect some heads of states. Remember, we have 35 presidents who confirmed attendance.
And Olive, talking of the 35 heads of states who are taking part, remember there are countries that are not taking part in the vote, 6 of them, which means 49 votes are expected in this vote. Yesterday we saw Anglophone sort of taking majority of the commissioner seats elected that were elected yesterday by the ministers. Is this trying to show this Anglophone Francophone contest that Anglophone has won in the first round of commissioners?
That was what was cited in 2017 when Kenya had another candidate it had very high hopes for, and it is, if you speak to officials from that time, still an emotional subject because they felt like Kenya's neighbors did not back her. So then part of the argument was this was Anglophone Francophone, but this time, as you know, it's a rotational thing since 2021, I believe. So you have regions in the interest of transparency and also just equitability.
Absolutely.
So I'm not entirely sure how that will play out where the AUC chairmanship and deputy chair is concerned, but we'll wait and see.
Seth, remember the main candidates, the 3 candidates, have all been crossing from the north to the south, from the west to the east of Africa. And we saw Raila Odinga concluding his meeting yesterday with President Evariste Ndayishimiye of Burundi in Bujumbura. And how has Raila Odinga's crisscross across Africa put him, especially in terms of solidifying all the blocks and getting something to his voting table?
Very important, because the focus has been in the last 1 month has been particularly the SADC region and also the Maghreb, that is the North African states. Remember that there are 2 swing votes here. We're talking about the Central Africa region, which is very, very crucial for the Raila campaign, and also we're talking about the Maghreb, the northern part. You should know also, Leto and Olive, that it is at this particular region where Kenya's presence in terms of dominance through embassy and mission placement is the least. For example, you'll have at least 2 missions in the entire Central African Republic, where there is the likes of Chad, the likes of Sudan. So you really, really need to put a lot of effort in these particular regions. But also Somalia is very key, because I'll tell you what, Leto, Somalia declared that they're going to support the Djibouti candidate way before even the unveiling of Raila Odinga here in Addis Ababa in November.
Even as the blocks, each candidate tries to scoop a vote in each block. We have seen that today President William Ruto is landing here in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and holding a joint meeting with Raila Odinga in a sort of a dinner. 2 days left. Will Raila Odinga and William Ruto pull a last one? Will there be any change of mind in the heads of states who will be taking part in the vote, especially between now and tomorrow ahead of the Saturday vote? I mean, today's dinner by Raila, Ruto and all the African states that will be invited at the Sheraton, will that change or tilt any of that in favor of Raila Odinga?
Definitely the undecided votes, there are those who are really waiting, for the last minute persuasive, skills. But remember, at this particular letter, I'd bet that most of the member states have already decided who they're going to vote for. But this particular interaction is crucial. Why? And that is the very reason you have Ali Yusuf Mohammed, the Foreign Affairs Minister for Djibouti, who's also a candidate attending the interministerial, because just it is a way of interaction. Absolutely. It is a way of persuasive, the last minute.
But in fairness, he is the Foreign Affairs Minister for Djibouti, and this is a gathering of Foreign Affairs Ministers in Djibouti.
He has to represent.
But on the question of undecided votes, and I would say, given our experience in 2017, perhaps let's not count our chicks before they hatch.
Absolutely, like Olive says, you do not count your chicks before they hatch. And that is exactly what, the Kenyan delegation, we understand there is a huge Kenyan delegation coming to Addis Ababa, because that is why the Ministry of Foreign Affairs yesterday, that is Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, had to intervene and set the record straight that they are coming on their own pocket money. I mean, because there was concerns that the Kenyan delegation could be funded by the GOK, but that seems to be the other way around. Kila mtu ajitegemee. But according to what we saw from Musalia Mudavadi yesterday, he was, putting a bright face, just trying to say that things are okay. Ni kama anaambia baba, maintain hivyo hivyo. So that's where we ended from the back crew led by Robert Karanja, Gitonga, Felix Orare, Mike Ndegwa, as well as Kevin, all doing a good job. Of course, this is just a start for today. We have a back-to-back and wall-to-wall coverage from the AUC Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Back to you in studio. Maintain hivyo hivyo.
Thank you, Stephen Leto, Seth Olale and Olive Barrows. Exactly what I maintain. Vivyo hivyo pale Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. And gentlemen, we're really pressed for time. Sige, just 2 minutes, quick response, and also you too as we close. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Trevor. I wish we had more time, because there are so many serious issues that we would have loved to, but nonetheless, I'll only say 3 things. Yeah. One, in response to the comments by Senator Joe, we are reconstituting these committees because we still have work to do for the people of Kenya for the remainder of the session, or rather the term. And therefore, I want to encourage him, in the spirit of enhancing that, we push the conscience of the members to vote as they want, to offer himself as a candidate. as a chairperson of the two committees, either of the two committees. He cannot be a chairperson of both. He can only be a chairperson of one. He offers himself in either of those committees. In the committee that I sit in together with him, because I'm going to offer myself for JLAC, my vote is available for him in that one, if he were to offer himself. And I can bet, Trevor, our colleagues in the Senate vote with conscience, and if he's interested, he will definitely get there.
Okay.
Number two, that is one of the things that I'm looking forward to. Number two is, Kenya Kwanza had a manifesto. It still has a manifesto to deliver to the people of Kenya. The reason as to why we are now doing this reconstitution, and we are having this conversation the way we are today, is because we want to defend and we want to say, let's deal with politics when that time comes.
Okay.
For now, let us do the best we can to make sure that we implement the programs that have been pushed forward as per the manifesto for the people of Kenya.
Right.
So that ahead of time, then we will have something to talk about. Say, we had SHA, we had education policies, we had this team planning to do on agriculture, we had the economic condition of the country at that time, and we will all have something to tell Kenyans about the performance of this government when that time comes.
All right. Newton.
Thank you, Trevor. Let me start by commending Owen Baya and Senator Sigei. They are really doing well in the choir. The master has watched, and of course, great reward is awaiting them for doing very well in the choir, and so I commend them. But very quickly, Trevor, I want to say that this independence that they're talking about, an independent vote and what have you, it's actually a charade, because Boss Sholei said in the presence of the president that she was directed by the president to vote to remove, Rigathi Gachagua. Tabitha Karanja, my good friend, the senator for Nakuru, said in a particular show on Inoro TV, which is in this particular company, that she was called by the president personally to State House and directed to vote to impeach Rigiji. So when you are talking about independent voting, of course it has not been there. There has been a lot of push and shove, and those two have already proved that in public. They did not say that in private, in public. And of course, Kenyans can see the lies being exposed. Let me assure Owen Baya and my colleague, Senator Sigei, I am not interested in chairing any committee. So I don't know why they're offering me the offer to run. I'm not interested. I want my freedom. I do not want my hands to be in shackles again. And Trevor, Owen Baya is a pot calling the kettle black. When he says that I only care for re-election, come on, Owen Baya. We know who is hell-bent on getting re-elected, including plans to import voters in order for them to just be re-elected, including exposing Kenya to all the dangers just to be re-elected. So Owen Baya should be the last person to tell any member of parliament that they are hell-bent on getting re-elected. And so this social democracy they keep talking about, these politics they say, let's not do politics now, we work now. We have never sent away any machinery that came to construct roads in our area. We are only pointing out to evils like abductions and such things. We cannot be told, let's continue doing roads for you as we abduct and kill your children. And finally, Owen Baya, he should go for prayers. He cannot finish a sentence without referring to Rigathi Gachagua. Sigei, the same. You need prayers. You need to be delivered.
Coming up next is cooking tips. Thank you, gentlemen. We have to leave it there. Bye for now.